Hello there. I'm Ed Durkee. I'm the director of this. Thank you so much for coming tonight. This is an extraordinary production. It's been in the making for at least 7-8 months. And Mary Schreiber, who is the CEO, you will be amazed at the spectacle that you're about to see. It's really a remarkable achievement. Along those lines, we also have a number of other things. You know that Arts of the Lake is a multicultural institution where we have many different programs coming on. One that is especially dear to my heart is one next week, which is called The Mystical Sound of Tibetan Bowls. It's a woman who plays these extraordinary instruments, which are bowls, and often they're played in different ways. But she is what's called a sound healer, but her teacher was from Nepal, and he has a school in Kathmandu, and she has not heard about him yet, whether he has survived or not. And so she has made this as a benefit for Nepal. So if you could encourage anybody you know to come to that, it's going to be quite an experience. It's actually quite a meditative experience, and people can bring their yoga mats, you can bring in comfortable clothing, you can sit, or you can lie on the floor and do all sorts of things. There's an art exhibit coming in springtime, which is our springtime art exhibition by the Visual Arts Group, which is always a very, very good show. And then towards the end of the month, we have the Blue Horse Theater Company who come and do readings for us, and this time they're doing a reading of a Craig Lucas play called Reckless. And Craig Lucas is a prominent American playwright, current American playwright, who's about to have a show go on Broadway. So it's pretty extraordinary for him to be able to come up and talk to the audience. So I hope you'll come to some of those, and we will go on. I'm going to go back and do tech now, so I will see you later. Thank you.
Behold, a wealthy merchant, well respected in his city. His shop is filled with riches, fine cloth, and jewels pretty. The merchant's name is Omar. He is gentle, kind, and sweet. He always has a pleasant word for the people in the street. A brightly feathered bird is the merchant's greatest treasure, a parrot brought from India for status and for pleasure. The parrot's name is Pakshi, which in India means bird. Her beautiful, sweet singing is the finest ever heard. People walking near the door all turn their heads and stop. And when they come into the store, they often stay to shop.
I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released.
So, Pakshi helps the business, as in her cage she sings. Customers admire her voice and lovely colored wings. She perches in a golden cage with baubles, toys, and seeds. And Omar hums and talks to her while tending to her needs. Oh, Pakshi, with your reddish sheen and golden feathers in between, I'll buy you gold and jewels and keep your bedding clean. Your singing is so lovely. You are wonderful and clever. I'll keep you in this gorgeous cage and pamper you forever. But look, inside the gilded cage, Pakshi feels so sad. She longs for days gone by and the freedom that she had. She remembers soaring joyfully, high above the roofs. She sings a sad, nostalgic song and thinks about her youth.
Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I?
Now, Omar needs to take a trip to buy things for the store. He kindly asks his daughters what they are wishing for.
Well, bring me tea and coffee and a real expensive salad and delicacies from the sea like clams and calamari. I'd like some silken fabric and some multicolored thread. Oh, I'd love a golden necklace and new linens for my bed. Bring me a statue of Gannet and jars of curried spice.
And a hookah and some poppies would also be quite nice.
And don't forget the silver bells the camels like to wear and fine satin ribbons I can braid into my hair. I want a book of poetry, and Rumi is the best. I sure would love some rubies in my golden jewel chest. Oh, Papa, you're so generous and wonderful and kind. Oh, please, bring back all these things for the ones you leave behind.
Omar turns to Pakshi, but she sighs and shakes her head. I do not want a gift, but have a small request instead. Please, seek out the parrots there and tell them of my fate. Say that I am kept confined within this golden crate. Please, send them my love and give them my kind words. Oh, how I wish that I could see my kith and kindred birds. Ask them for their guidance, for I miss their company. And if they have a message, please bring it back to me. Omar always keeps his word, and he agrees to this. He plans to find her parrot friends, because this is her wish. He checks his shop one last time, and then he turns his back. And then he leaves for India, following the desert track.
Just a few more weary days and then I'll fly away to a land where joys will never end. I'll fly away.
He travels on his camel across the hot and fiery sands. The travel is unpleasant in these bleak and arid lands. He ruminates and ponders as his camel plods the ground. His deep and pondered thoughts often border on profound. Among these meditations, there are some thoughts more mundane. Omar scans the molten sky and wishes it would rain. He thinks of luring patrons to his large and prosperous store, and how Pakshi's lovely singing might assist him to get more. At last, he reaches India, and he finds the market square. He eats some vindaloo and meets fellow merchants there. He trades his goods and buys his gifts, and then he asks around to find out where the local flocks of parrots can be found. Omar learns that parrots live in jungles to the west, and he travels out to find them to complete his friend's request. Then he spots them in the treetops. Flocks of free and blissful birds. And stops to do his duty. He must pass on Pakshi's words. He calls, I have a message from a sister bird of yours. She wanted me to tell you about how she spends her hours. I keep her in a gorgeous cage, which has bars of solid gold. She was very clear to me that I should make sure you were told. parrots stare at Omar. Then they turn to watch each other. And then they nod together. One parrot starts to stiffen and then falls down to the ground. And several others follow. Parrots falling all around. They must be Pakshi's family. Oh, whatever has he done? Why did all these parrots perish? Why did they die as one? Omar turns back to the road in sadness and confusion. He doesn't know what happened. Perhaps a strange illusion? He resumes his trip with heavy heart. And now is homeward bound, laden with the merchandise and the presents that he found. But he thinks about the parrots, ashamed and shocked and sad. Perhaps he murdered Pakshi's clan. This makes him feel so bad. Again, as Omar journeys, his meditations wander. The behavior of the birds gives him many things to ponder. The way they fell before his eyes was hard to understand. His thoughts all spin and jumble as his camel plods the sand. He returns at last to Persia with his stock of Indian things. His daughters are delighted to see the gifts he brings. Pakshi watches from her cage until the greeting ends. And then she asks the merchant if he had seen her friends. He doesn't want to tell her the news that she desired, but Pakshi is insistent. So he tells her what transpired. I gave the birds your message, but to my deep regret, I would take back all those words that made them so upset. One bird was sitting in a tree. She stiffened and she fell. She lay down dead upon the ground. I am so grieved to tell. One by one they fell down dead without an answer spoken. I'm not sure why, but honestly, I think their hearts were broken. Still, they lay upon the ground. It was so sad and tragic. They all fell dead before my eyes, as if possessed by magic. As Pakshi hears this message, she slowly lifts her head. Then she quivers and falls suddenly onto her cage floor, dead. Omar jumps back in surprise. Not his precious parrot, too. My darling Pakshi, gone from me. Allah, this isn't true. Horrified, he stares at her, now shocked and full of grief. That he has killed his precious bird is far beyond belief. He strokes her rigid body. What a terrible disaster. But Pakshi quickly flutters up and flies up to the rafters. The merchant is astounded. Her escape was clean and quick. He can't believe it happened. Why did she play this trick? He calls to her, come back, come back. Whatever did I do? Pakshi, please tell me what that message means to you. The parrots did not die. They showed me from a distance how I could get away from this terrible existence. My beauty and my singing are what imprisoned me. I learned that if I stilled my voice, I could finally be free. You kept me caged, but now I'll leave and go to find my friends. When you keep a loved one trapped, this is how it ends. Omar answered wisely, yes, go on your new way. I see it wasn't gracious to compel my love to stay. I hope you come to visit as a free and happy bird. I'll love you from a distance. On that, you have my word. Pakshi gave her answer. Perhaps I'll visit you to see how you are doing and to tell you all that's new. But I'll sing to you from treetops, and I definitely won't stay. I'll leave here when I want to. And with that, she flew away.
traders leave the street, and thirsty neighbours meet, as market days draw to an end and folks begin their way to wend, while we enjoy a good few beers, forgetting all our woes and fears, we think no on the long Scots miles, the marshes, ditches, dykes and stiles that lie between us and our hame, where sits our sulky, sullen dame, gathering her browns like gathering storm, nursing her wrath to keep it warm. This truth found honest Tam O'Shanter, as he for air one night did canter. Auld Ayr, our town that none surpasses for honest men and bonny lassies. Oh, Tam, had you but been so wise and ta'en your ain wife Kate's advice, she told you well you were a loser, a ranting, raving, drunken boozer, that fae November till October, on market day, you're never sober. And at the Lord's house, even on Sunday, a drank wi' kirk and jean till Monday. She prophesied that late or soon you would be found deep drowned in River Doon, or catch by warlocks in the muck by Alloway's old haunted cat. Oh, gentle dames, it makes me weep to think how many counsels sweet, how many lengthened sage advices the husband for the wife despises. But to our tale. One market night, Tom had got himself just right, close by the fire, blazing finely, with foamy ale that drank divinely. And at his elbow, cobbler Johnny, his lifelong trusty drinking crony. Tom loved him like a very brother. They had been drunk for weeks together. The night flew by with songs and chatter, and aye, the ale was growing better. The landlady and Tom grew gracious, with secret favours sweet and precious. The cobbler told his queerest stories. The landlord's laugh was ready chorus. The storm outside might roar and rustle. Tom didn't mind the storm up whistle. Here was a man, so full of cheer. He cared not if he drowned in beer. As bees fly home with loads of treasure, the minutes winged their way with pleasure. Kings may be blessed, but Tom was glorious over all the ills of life, victorious. But pleasures are like poppy spread. You seize the flower, its bloom is shed, or like the snow falls in the river, a moment white, then melts forever. Or like the borealis race that flits ere you can find their place. Or like the rainbow's lovely form, evanishing amid the storm. No man can tether time nor tide. The hour approaches. Tom must ride! And such a night he takes the road in, as never a poor sinner was abroad in. The wind blew as 'twould blow its last. The rattling showers rose on the blast. The speedy gleams the darkness swallowed. Loud, deep and long the thunder bellowed. That night a child could understand. The devil had business in his hand. Well mounted on his brown mare nag, a better never lifted leg, Tom scalped on through mud and mire, despising wind and rain and fire. Now, holding fast his good blue bonnet, now crooning o'er some old Scots sonnet, now glowering round with prudent cares, lest witches catch him unawares. Kirk Alloway was drawing nigh with ghosts and Howlett's nightly cry. He crossed the ford and reached the side where in the snow the pedlar died. Then past the birch and the giant stone where drunken Charlie brak his neck bone. Then through the gorse and bracken wild where hunters found the murdered child. Then by the thorn above the well where Mungo's mother hanged herself. Before him Doon pours all her floods. The doubling storm roars through the woods. The lightning flash from pole to pole. Near and more near the thunders roll. When glimmering through the groaning trees, Kirk Alloway seemed all ablaze. Through every gap, light beams were glancing, and loud resounded mirth and dancing. Inspiring bold John Barleycorn, what dangers thou wouldst make us scorn. We twopenny ale, we fear nae evil. With whiskey, we would face the devil. The drink so addled Tammy's wit, he didn't fear the sight a bit, but Maggie stood full well astonished, till by the heel and hand admonished, she ventured forward on the light. And wow! Tom saw an unreal sight. Warlocks and witches in a dance. Nae cotillon bred new in France, but hornpipes, jigs, strong fays and heels put life and metal in their heels. And by a window in the east, there stood old Nick in shape of beast, a scruffy cur, red, grim and large. To give the music with his charge, he squeezed the pipes and made them sing till roof and rafters all did ring. Coffins stood round, each open wide, to show a shrouded corpse inside, and by some hellish magic sleight, each in its hand held a light. Tommy stood amazed and curious. The mirth and fun grew fast and furious. The piper loud and louder blew. The dancers quick and quicker flew. They reeled, they set, they crossed, they linked, till each began to sweat and stink. And some of them began to strip, which piqued Tom's interest. But Tom, oh well, had they been queens, all plump and strapping in their teens, I'd get the pants right off my hearties for one blink of their bonny bodies. But with a bell dance, old and droll, ugly enough to suckle a foal, leaping and jumping on as thick as a winner didn't make me sick. But Tom knew what was what all right. There was one wench, a lovely sight. Her pretty sark she proudly bore, that while a lassie she had wore, in long that she thought, sorely scanty, for it was the best and she was flaunting. Oh, little knew her reverend granny, that sark she bought for her wee nanny with £2 Scots. 'Twas all her riches, would ever grace a dance of witches. But oh, how Nanny leapt and flung, a supple lass she was and strong, and how Tom stood like one bewitched. He thought his very eyes enriched, even Satan leered with lust and glee, and blew as hard could be, till first one caper, then another. Tom lost his reason altogether, and roars out,
"Well done, Cuddy Sark!"
and in an instant all was dark. No sooner had Tom Maggie rallied, when out the hellish legion sallied, as even then the market cries when catch the thief resounds aloud. So Maggie runs the witch's hole, with many an eerie shriek and hollow. Oh, Tom, your race is run. In hell they'll roast you for their fun. But do thy speedy utmost, Meg, and reach the keystone of the brig. Once there, good Meg her tail can toss, a running stream they dare me cross. But ere the keystone she could make, she didn't have a tail to shake. For Nanny, far before the rest, hard upon noble Maggie pressed, and flew at Tom intent to kill. But little knew she Maggie's skill. One spring brought off her master hail, but left behind her own brown tail. The hell cat caught her by the rump, and left poor Maggie scarce a stump. Now, who this tale o' truth shall read, each man and mother's son, take heed, whene'er to drink you are inclined, or cutty sarks run in your mind, think you may buy the joys there, dear. Remember Tam O'Shanter's name?
Would normally not be together. I'm not together. And those kind of things like that. Well, there's actually 5 ways into things without
In Nordic lands and days of yore, where Arctic blizzards blow, there's magic in the mountains and the fjords of glittering snow. Norwegian folk lead peaceful lives in snug and cozy homes, but underneath the mountains live the trolls, the imps, the gnomes. A plucky lad named Heskestad has caught a polar bear. He names it Ragnar and is kind, and handles it with care. He thinks the king would really like this marvel as a present, and Ragnar thinks that living in a palace would be very pleasant. So Ragnar follows closely as they walk into the snow. The blizzard becomes ferocious and the winds begin to blow.
The ice to snow so terrible, they think of Sam McGee. But on they push into the storm, though they both can barely see. But Heskestad is strong, and the bear enjoys the storm. And sometimes they jog a bit to keep their bodies warm. Then up on Dover Mountain, they see a distant light, and so they trudge up towards it, hoping for a warm respite. They find a pretty cottage tucked into the mountainside. Calls Heskestad. Hello! Hello! Is anyone inside? We'd like some food and shelter, and we won't be very picky. Pushing through this driving snow is getting really tricky. An old man opens up the door and startles at the bear. He calls, "Oh yeah, my name is Halvor, and I do have food to share. But I have to leave my house tonight and sleep in the shed." But why the barn? It's warm in here, responds brave Heskestad. Halvor gestures them inside and offers them a drink. They settle down just near the stove, and Halvor stops to think. He is fidgety and nervous, and he paces on the floor. His face turns very serious. A chill runs through his core. Yeah, my tale is strange, and you might think I'm addled in the head. But tonight is Christmas Eve, and there's peril that I dread. The trolls in nearby mountains like to have their party here. They eat my food and trash my house and drink up all my beer. I leave them to their mischief while I cower in the shed. They eat my bread and sausage and I jump upon the bed. They are always gone by morning, so then I can't come back. So you can share the barn with me, although it's just a drafty shack. But for Heskestad and Ragnar, the trolls are not a worry. The house is warm. The food is good. The rugs are soft and furry. The bear sits down beside the stove, then cuddles down and sighs. While Halvor gathers up his gear to spend the night outside. Heskestad quite happily banks down the stove and fire. He looks around the cottage and then begins to tire. He finds a cozy corner and prepares a little bed. And Ragnar settles down by the stove to rest his weary head. But suddenly, he is startled by a horrid screechy sound. And through the walls he hears a steady, loud and sounding sound, thunderous pound. Then ugly trolls swarm in the house and pounce upon the food. And more trolls are behind them, all stinky, foul, and crude. Some small, some large, some hairy, they come stomping through the door. They grab at food on tankards and they pound upon the floor. Farting, snorting, screeching, it is such an awful sight. They gobble, trolls, they gobble, belch and drool, and they kick and punch and bite. The trolls' new festive party is getting very wild, making last year's Christmas party look relatively mild. Trolls of all descriptions are cavorting in commotion. They race around the cottage, setting everything in motion. They dance, they romp, they caper, they howl, and they wail. They raid for Halvor's larder, and they topple the milk pail. They throw their food upon the floor and overturn their mugs. They pull the pitchers off the walls and tear up all the rugs. One crazy troll is screeching, and the rafters are all ringing. Some of them are howling, for which a troll is singing. They clog dance, and they jig, and they pile up in a heap. They prance upon near Ragnar, but he is sound asleep. Bold Heskestad just chuckles at their antics and vulgarity. Safely in his corner, he ponders their barbarity. But Ragnar just keeps sleeping, all snuggled in his bed, until a clumsy troll drops a sausage on his head. None of these clueless trolls have ever seen a polar bear. They are fighting for the sausage when they spy his pretty hair. One yells, "Oh, look, a sleeping cat, a pretty furry white one." But this unwise conclusion was clearly not the right one. They pounce and jump on Ragnar, and they pull his shiny hair. And finally, those stupid trolls wake up the sleeping bear. Now Ragnar turns and sees the trolls and stands up on his paws. The music stops as Ragnar shows his fearful teeth and claws. The trolls freeze in terror as they behold his mighty jaws. And Ragnar growls and lurches up and gives a fearful roar. There is chaos in the cottage as the trolls yowl with fright, pushing, shoving, scrambling as they flee into the night. They scurry out with fearful yells and howls and screams and shrieks. They hurry back to horrid caves below Mount Dovra's peak. The Heskestad comes in the room and pats brave Ragnar's snout and looks around the room to check that every troll is out. He laughs and smiles at Ragnar and goes back to his bed. And Ragnar settles down once more to rest his bruined head. When morning comes, Kind Halvor peeks his head into the door. The house is trashed, the beer is gone, the food is on the floor. He checks in on sleeping guests, and Ragnar lifts his snout, and Heskestad says, "Halvor, we had fun while you were out." He said, "Next time the trolls arrive, say, 'Still, you have your cat.'" Halvor was bewildered and shook his head at that. But he wishes them both Godspeed as he shows them to the door. Next Christmas Eve, two ugly trolls are peeking through the glass.
You still have your cat?
The harbor trolls both ask. "Oh, yeah, sure, you bet you. And she has a litter, too. Oh, very soft and white." The trolls howl, then run away and vanish in the night. And kindly, gentle Halvor never saw those trolls about. Snip, snap, snout. And now this tale's all told out.
There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights, they've seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge, I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee, he was from Tennessee where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but that land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, though he'd often say in his homely way, I'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold. Through the parka's folded stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd closed, and the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. That very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and, Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed so low, I couldn't say no. And then he says, with a sort of a moan, Oh, it's the cursed cold. It's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet 'tain't being dead. It's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that, foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. Pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I would not fail. And we started on at the streak of dawn, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh and raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There was not a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with a corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, but it seemed to say, You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate these last remains. Now a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb in my heart, how I cursed that load. In the long, lone nights by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring held out their woes to the homeless snows. Oh God, how I loathed that thing. And every day the quiet clay seemed to heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad. I felt half mad, but I swore I'd not give in. And I'd often sing to that hateful thing, and I'd hearken with a grin. Well, I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. Then, here, said I with a sudden cry, is my crematorium! Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames soared, the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in that glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I did not like to hear them sizzle. The heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind, it began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks. I don't know why. And the greasy smoke and an inky cloak went streaking across the sky. I don't know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but bravely I said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked, and it's time I looked, and the door I opened wide. And there's that Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace door. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he says, please, close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge, I cremated Sam McGee.
not have happened without Mary. Your kindness, your support, your positiveness, your creativeness. Putting up with some crazy characters. We'd like to give you this token of our appreciation.